in California, 1970. I was a temple president in various places in the United States for many years. I became a member of ISKCON's governing body in 1987. And I'm responsible. I was on a morning walk with Prabhupada, and I asked him, what does it mean to be one of the leaders in your movement? Because I was a young temple president. And I thought, I was actually hoping Prabhupada would give me some praise. So I asked, what does it mean to be one of the leaders in your movement? Prabhupada stopped his walk, put his cane down, sized me up, and said, it means if anything goes wrong, it's your fault, which was very good instruction. So I've been a member of the ISKCON's GBC since 1987. I oversee our about 19 temples in the Western United States. And I'm on a number, anyway, Hare Krishna. And I've got the gray hairs to show it. I'm on a number of ISKCON GBC committees. So there it is. It keeps me busy. And I'm trying to be Das Das Anu Das, a servant of the devotees, a million times removed. So there it is for an introduction. What do we do now, Vanamali Prabhu?
Maharaj, let us begin. I think I am deprived of introducing you.
Yes,
thank you.
And I'm very happy about that.
That's fine, Maharaj. However, you feel appropriate. So let us begin, Maharaj. I think we'll start because since we don't want to lose any time for the question answer session. Let's begin the session.
We can have a very short kirtan. I'll lead a very short.
Okay,
just to invoke auspiciousness, because I'm also losing my voice. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namo. Where are you? See, I don't hear you guys.
Okay, everybody can unmute. Can you unmute and
Vedanta Swami Nitinamine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Charini Nirvasesa Sunyavari Paskachad Sakari.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Oh,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Hey Prabhupada, Jai Shri Shri Radha Giri Hari Hari Bol. I have a question for you, Vanamali Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj.
Now, I've got everybody's bright face here, and I'm happy to see you, but it's going to mark off part of the screen of the presentation of the PowerPoint. Is there a way we can minimize these windows of everybody's bright face, and then we can turn it back on when the presentation is done for the question and answer? Maybe it's not possible. Is it possible or not possible?
Maharaj, it is on your side. I cannot see anybody's face. I think you have to. Yeah.
Very good. Well, so hang on. So you just see the screen. You don't see everybody's bright face?
No, I don't see.
And that's true of the other folks? Jitendra Prabhu, do you see everybody's?
Yes.
Yes,
No,
Prabhuji, we can see the.
we only see your face.
We can actually see your presentation, the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas.
Okay, sorry if you see my face. Okay, we'll carry on. The reason Krishna, in Krishna Leela, in Vrindavan, when there's the beginning of the, first is the Indra Puja, leading up to the Govardhan Puja, Krishna explains to his father, Nanda Maharaj, that if you perform an activity in knowledge, there's greater benefit. So it's good if we understand our history. We are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we're followers of Srila Prabhupada, we're Vaishnavas, of course, but what is the depth of that meaning? My opinion is, it's a valuable, this will be valuable information. And there it is. That's why we're going to present it. So here we go. Now, as you know, there are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. So here we have Brahma, Shiva, with the Rudra Sampradaya, the Kumaras, and the Lakshmi Sampradaya. So next, Vanamali. Oh, Vanamali, there you go. Now, why does this matter? Why do we need disciplic succession? Why do we need a sampradaya? And the reason is that ultimately, we are limited beings. It's a matter of being honest. We are finite. And here's an example. Here's a great thinker. It's a famous statue called the Thinker. And where is he thinking? Where are my keys? We can't even see what's happening on the other side of the door. We can't see, we don't know how many hairs are on the top of our head. And we're going to find out the absolute truth. Prabhupada said, I was sitting in Prabhupada's room one time, and a man was saying, well, Swami, as far as I know. Well, Swamiji, as far as I know. Well, as far as I know. Prabhupada finally cut him off and said, that's my point. How far do you know? So next. Now, this is a man pole vaulting, Olympic pole vaulting. You know pole vaulting, they jump over the bar. Now, I don't know what the original in the 1930 Olympics or whatever it was, but now the current record is 20 feet plus. So they've improved. They've got better poles, better shoes. They are incrementally increasing. Are they ever going to be able to pole vault to the moon? What do you think? They may get to 30 feet. I don't know. Maybe they'll get to 40 feet. Who knows? But they're never going to get to the moon. The point being, because people say, well, we're building on the incremental knowledge of humankind. We're making advancements in medicine. Of course, COVID's showing the fallacy of that logic. But we stand on the shoulders of giants. Each generation adds to the pool of knowledge, and in this way we're growing. Okay, fine. We accept that they're making a little, they're learning this and that, but they're never going to understand the infinite. So there it is. So if we want to know that which is beyond our senses, there's different types of evidences or pramanas. There's sensual evidence. There's evidence we've heard from others. But anyone here want to suggest what is the best type of evidence? Anyone want to unmute? Vanamali.
Shabda Brahman.
Shabda Brahman. Shabda Brahman. That which is descending. Suppose somebody, I don't know how to do this in a small room. Can you see, if you can see the point is, if I'm glued to my seat, suppose somebody has glued me to my seat, I cannot move. And I want to shake hands with somebody who is 10 feet away from me. Can I do it? I can stretch my arm, I can reach, I can lean, but my expanse of my grip, maybe it's 4 feet. Can I shake hands with someone who is 10 feet away? What do you think? I say it's possible. How is it possible? It's possible if that person 10 feet away takes the initiative and comes to me. I can only reach so far, but if they take the initiative and come to me, then they can shake my hand. So the point is that we are finite, and it is only if the infinite takes the initiative and reveals itself to us can we understand that which is beyond our limited perception. It requires descending knowledge. It's called descending knowledge. Prabhupada said we cannot take the kingdom of God by storm. Krishna has to reveal himself. So Sampradaya, bona fide Sampradayas, disciplic successions, that is the medium by which Krishna reveals himself. He dispenses spiritual knowledge. Next. Vanamali, you got to be quick. Next. So here we have it, the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. First verse, first canto, first chapter. It's the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the proper commentary on Vedanta Sutra. What does it say? Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye. That Krishna, the absolute, enlightened Lord Brahma from within the heart. So this is how the process begins, descending knowledge. Next. It's a supreme science, Krishna says in the Gita. This supreme science was received in the chain of disciplic succession. If I have a chain of extension cords, does it matter? You know, if I've got something, I can't get my projector to work. My computer won't turn on. What's one of the first things we should do? Anyone want to suggest? Make sure it's plugged in, isn't it? You got to make sure it's plugged in. So, and similarly, you can have so many extension cords, doesn't matter. The power will still flow, but you've got to have the cords connected. You can have the cords all connected, but not plugged in, no juice. You can have the first cord plugged in, but then the chain is broken, no juice. You've got to have the cords connected and plugged into the source. So this is the process. It goes back, guru, disciple, guru, disciple, guru, disciple, all the way back to Krishna's lotus feet. That way there's the potency, the currency of transcendental knowledge flows. Otherwise, we are limited. We're left with, I think, in my opinion, as far as I know, which is just scratch, useless. Next. Our line comes from Krishna to Brahma, to Madhvacharya, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Srila Prabhupada. There's many, many gurus and disciples in the middle of that, but it's a chain coming all the way down. Next. There are 4 Vaisnava Sampradayas, as we said in the beginning: Brahma, Rudra or Shiva, Kumar Sampradaya, and Lakshmi Sampradaya. And the way it works, most of you are from India. In mango season, which is coming soon, where do you find the best mangoes? They're up at the very top of the tree. You got to have a big tree, a mature tree, and the nicest mangoes where they get the bright sunshine are at the top of the tree. How do you get those mangoes down? You can shake, you can be on the ground, shake the branches, but the mangoes will fall and break. But if you make a chain, I've seen monkeys do this. They go up branch by branch. One monkey's at the top. He picks a mango, hands it down to the next person, next monkey hands it, and it comes down in a chain. So we may be standing on the ground. That mango is passed through a number of hands, but it's the same mango, unbroken, in sweet form. So this is the chain of disciplic succession. Although it's handed down, it's not changed, it's not altered. And we get that same transcendental knowledge, that sweet nectar from Sukadeva Goswami comes right into our hands. So that's disciplic succession. And it's the only way to understand that which is beyond our senses. Next. Now we're going to move into a little history. Krishna is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He is the best friend of all living entities. In every birth, I'm not minimizing mother and father. By Krishna's grace, I had a very good mother and father. The mother is the Adi Guru. You can never repay her. She's the first Guru. So we're not discounting the value of parents, friends, husband, wife, all of that. But the fact of the matter is that they're gone eventually. Bhagavatam gives the example that in a river, sometimes there's a little eddy or cross current, and some sticks, some twigs, some leaves, they'll come together for a little while. Then the current changes and all those leaves are scattered. So we're brought together by the current of time. This is Bhagavatam example. So we're together, family, nation, husband, wife, father, son, whatever. We're together for some time, but the current of time changes and we're separated. But Krishna never leaves. Krishna never gives up. Prabhupada says, Yeyatam mam prapadyante, that we take one step to Krishna, and Krishna, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Not that we take one step to Krishna and Krishna takes one to us. Prabhupada said it's a 1-to-10 ratio. We take one step to Krishna and Krishna takes 10. And he never gives up. We're eating cows. We're completely forgetting about him. We're as dogs, cats, hogs, who knows what we've been. But in every birth, Krishna's in our heart. giving good instruction, trying to save us, trying to bring us back to Godhead. He is our best friend. And one of the manifestations of that best friendship is he sends these acharyas. He sends great teachers to help deliver society, to deliver the conditioned souls. And they speak according to time, place, and circumstance. Next. Fundamentally, yeah. Here we have Lord Buddha. You've got when he appeared. Now, people were using the Vedas as a rationale for slaughtering animals. There are so many different things. So he was only, like if you try to bend bamboo, if you take it all of a sudden, dry bamboo, it'll snap. But if you bend it little, you can bend it quite some way. So Krishna is moving human society via the different acharyas towards full realization, full knowledge. But at certain times and places, he can only give so much. Jesus says, I give one food to the strong, another food to the weak, some for babes, for babies, and some for grown. So according to the audience, you speak. So Lord Buddha, he was speaking very simply. He was saying this world is only suffering. It's called the Four Noble Truths. We won't go into it. But this world is suffering. Suffering is from desire. The only way to become free from suffering is to stop desire. If you stop desire, then you cease to exist. Nothing propels you forward. You actually become zero. Prabhupada calls it spiritual suicide. No more suffering, okay. But that's as much as people could understand. So Buddha says, world is suffering. The goal is nirvana. Finish with work, finish with desire, and poof, you cease to exist. Next. The next is Sankaracharya. Now, Sankaracharya, it's a little shade different. It's bending the bamboo a little further. It's moving society a little further down the path towards bhakti. He says, hang on a minute. It's not that you just cease to exist, but there is a permanent, transcendental, spiritual reality. Buddha says it's all illusion. Become free from the idea of ego, and then nothing. You become nothing, void. Sankara says, hang on a minute, that's not true. There is an eternal spiritual reality, but you just merge into it. Like now the jiva is like that little drop. We're the individual souls, the little jiva. But ultimately, we fall back in it. If we become perfect, liberation, mukti, then we merge back into the water, back into the ocean. We become one. So it's a little different than Buddhism because there's an eternal spiritual reality, but it's impersonal. You have no identity, no individuality. Next. Now we come to our Vaisnava acharyas. This is the next step down the line. Now you all know number lines, right? So Buddha is saying, and all the acharyas, Buddha was teaching from, Vedic prince. He was an Indian prince. So it's a fact. This world is samsara. It is a world of suffering. Now, Buddha's idea is that you come to zero. Okay, no more suffering. You're out of the negative realm, but it's just zero. Now, Sankaracharya says, well, hang on. There's the positive dimension, but it's formless. It's impersonal. You become one. Now, our Vaishnava acharyas, they take it the next step. There's a spiritual reality and there's activity. Chaitanya Charitamrita. That means the activity of the spirit soul in liberation. Next. So here we are moving down the line. You have Srila Vishnu Swami. And he's in the Rudra Sampradaya. And he teaches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two things. We'll get to it later on. It's described in the Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. It's also, Prabhupada describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is some sublime information for you. So from Srila Vishnu Swami, he stressed two things: exclusive dependence on Krishna and spontaneous devotion. So from his sampradaya, from his line, there in the Rudra Sampradaya, there's these two flavors: exclusive dependence on Krishna and spontaneous devotion. Next. Now from Nimbarkacharya's Sampradaya, this is a picture of Srila Nimbarkacharya, the Kumara Sampradaya, exclusive shelter of Srimati Radharani and the gopis' love for Krishna. Those are the two themes of his Sampradaya. Next. Now we have Ramanujacharya, Lakshmi Sampradaya. Pure devotion, free from karma and jnana, and service to the devotees. So he's stressing these two things. Ramanujacharya. For the third Sampradaya, Lakshmi Sampradaya. Next. And now we have the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, the Brahma Sampradaya, that there's eternal identity, individuality, even in liberation, and service to the deity. Does anyone know why look at Madhvacharya's right hand. Why does he have two fingers up like this? Anyone know? Is he a precursor to Winston Churchill? V for victory? Is he an early hippie giving the peace sign? What is the reason for that V?
To emphasize the Dvaita philosophy that we are always separate from God. We are different from God.
Even in liberation, we have our individual identity. Katha Upanishad says, Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanya Chaitananam. Okay, I'm eternal, you're eternal. We are all eternal, individual. But then he said, then the Katha Upanishad says, Eko Bahonam Yogadadati Kaman. But there's one chief eternal, he's maintaining all the others. So we're eternally individual, even in liberation and service to the deity. Next. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets enlivening. All four Vaishnavas had all these four acharyas had the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. Even though they're born different times and places, secretly, privately, they all had the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. Next. And this is confirmed in the Srila Navadvip, in the Sri Navadvip Dham Mahatmya by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and where Lord Nityananda, he gets the darshan of Navadvip. Lord Nityananda takes Jiva Goswami around Navadvip and reveals all the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. So that's one source. Here's another. Next. Also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The fact of the matter is, if you have not read Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, you are simply wasting 75% of your life. You are simply dragging on. The Prabhupada's books should be read regularly. They are treasure houses of spiritual knowledge. We're a little off the track, but let me give you an example. Suppose I go to the doctor and I say to the doctor, you with me? I'm going to a doctor. And I tell the doctor, oh, doctor, I'm feeling weak. I'm tired all the time. I have this gnawing pain in my stomach. So these are my symptoms: weak, tired, no energy, gnawing pain in my stomach. Doctor asks, well, are you eating regularly? You say, oh no, I'm not eating. Well, of course you're weak, tired. You have to eat. So devotees, I'm a sannyasi, I travel. Devotees say, oh, I have trouble chanting my rounds, or, sometimes I'm overwhelmed by anger and lust, or, how do I become enthusiastic? I ask them, do you read Prabhupada's books regularly? Oh, no, I don't. Well, there it is. We have to feed the soul, and we have to feed our spiritual intelligence. And Prabhupada's books are storehouses of transcendental knowledge. It's like an expert miner He knows how to dig out the gold, to dig out the emeralds and the rubies, and they're in Prabhupada's books. So everything I'm saying is actually in Prabhupada's books. Next. So Vishnu Swami, here's the, I was saying he's teaching Sudha Dvaita, but Lord Chaitanya appeared to him. All of these things happened in Navadvip. So Vishnu Swami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared before him and said, keep this secret. I am coming. I'm coming later on. You'll be able to join me in my Leela, and you will be Sri Balabhabata. Next. So Sri Balabhabata, Vishnu Swami, and then he comes as Balabhabhatacharya in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. So maybe you know Balabhacharya from the Sri Nachi, the Pushti Marg. This Gopal deity, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the wonderful pastimes of the Gopal deity on top of Govardhan Hill, installed by Krishna's grandson. So it's all there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Fantastic story, the history actually. And that deity is now worshipped in Natwar at Sri Nachi. Anyone who's Gujarati knows Sri Nachi, Pushti Marg. So that Balabhacharya was Vishnu Swami, and everything he knew was revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next. So Nimbarkacharya, Sudha Dvaita, in Mayapur, he had the darshan of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva said, you go to this Bale forest. It's on one of the islands of Navadvip. The 4 Kumaras were meditating there. The 4 Kumaras initiated him into the Radha Krishna mantra, Radha Krishna worship, actually Hare Krishna mantra. And Radha and Krishna appeared before him and then merged into one and became Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nimbarkacharya, as Vishnu Swami, said, I'm seeing this wonderful form of the Lord. I don't want to leave Navadvip. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to worship you. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told each one of these acharyas, you go out and teach. Don't reveal about me. You just go out and teach. You are laying the groundwork for my appearance. And don't worry, you'll see me again. So Nimbarkacharya, after the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, crying in separation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't worry, you'll get to sport with me again when I come and manifest my pastimes. So here it says, Nimbarkacharya, he became Keshava Kashmiri. Does anyone know who Keshava Kashmiri in Chaitanya Leela was? Anyone know? Oh, you have to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. He played in the role of a very puffed up pundit. He was famous. He was defeating scholars all over India. And he came to Navadvip because Navadvip was like Oxford, or it was a famous center for learning. And so he'd come to defeat the famous pandits of Navadvip. And as he was strolling on the banks of the Ganga, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, teaching his students. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, was a young boy. It's a long story. He completely smashed Keshava Kashmiri, completely defeated him. And it's a long story, but Keshava Kashmiri, then he again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed himself as Krishna, and he was very pleased. So it's a sporting pastime. Next, so all of these acharyas are actually manifest in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. Next. Oh, so next, here we have Ramanujacharya. He became Sri Ananta, and it's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He organized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's marriage to Lakshmi Priya. He's Sudevi, one of the 8 gopis. So in Puri, Lord Jagannath told Ramanujacharya, you go to Navadvip. That's where the truth will be revealed. So Lord Chaitanya revealed himself, instructed Ramanujacharya to teach Dasya, and privately you worship me within your heart, but externally you teach Dasya. Next. And Madhvacharya, this is the last of the 4 acharyas. You'll see the V there at the bottom. So he was taking Dvaita, monism and dualism. We're one with Krishna and we're separate. So Lord Gauranga appeared to him in a dream. He said, I will accept your sampradaya. I'm so pleased with you. I will come in your sampradaya. Now you go out and smash the impersonalists and you establish the worship of the deity. So that's Madhvacharya. And he's also, he's Vayu, he's Hanuman, and he's Bhima. and then he comes as Madhvacharya. Okay, next. So all of these acharyas, all of their teachings are woven in to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They all culminate in Achintya-Bheda-Abheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different. By following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his teaching and his practices, we are perfectly following all the four Vaishnava acharyas. So next slide. Oh, Vanamali. There you go. Now you see this is a loom. You see all these threads, and you put all these threads together, you can make a beautiful pattern, a beautiful tapestry. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two things from each of the acharyas. So 2 times 4 acharyas, 8 themes. And these 8 themes he wove into his teachings and practices. So those threads, we're just going to quickly recap the 8 threads that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took from these, actually enlightened these acharyas, and then wove them together into his movement when he appeared 500 plus years ago. So just see, you can see how each of these points is perfectly manifest in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. Think of the 6 Shastikam prayers, and then think of these points. So exclusive dependence on Krishna, spontaneous devotion, shelter of Srimati Radharani, the gopis' love for Krishna. Next. Pure devotional service, free from karma and jnana, service to the devotees. The jivas are eternally individuals, even in liberation, and service to the deity. That by service to the deity, one's senses become purified, one actually learns how to serve Krishna. We're serving Krishna here, we're making garlands for Krishna here, we're making garlands for Krishna there. We're cooking for Krishna here, we're cooking Krishna for there. It is a dress rehearsal training, and we become purified by deity worship. So all of these, next. So these are just for fun. We have a few more slides. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was Prabhupada's spiritual master, and he expertly took the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He took all of these 8 themes and packaged them perfectly. You're going to see how in just a minute. But I love these pictures. This first picture is Chaitanya, is a Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur taking sannyas. He's 24 years old. Anyone know why 24 years old is significant?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took sannyas at that age.
Exactly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas at 24. But taking it one step further, does anyone know why that 24 age is so significant? At 24 years, the senses are at their apex. It is considered, according to Ayurveda, that 24 years old, that's when the body is its peak for enjoyment. That's when, you know, everything's cruising as best it can. Anybody over 24 years old? I'm almost 68. Prabhus, Matajis, it's all downhill after 24. So at 24 years old, when we have the best chance for trying to enjoy this world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took sannyas. Prabhupada said he kicked on the face of illusion and took sannyas. And then here we see him at the latter in his elderly years, such a saintly, powerful person. He's got a beard and hair because he's observing Chaturmasya. So this great hero, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, took the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and presented them perfectly for the modern age. Next. This is anyone who's been to Mayapur. I'd ask you to raise your hand, but I can't see you. Here's the samadhi of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right there in Mayapur. And if you look across this garden, you can kind of see the two. At the other end of the garden is the first temple that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur built. This is his temple. And if you'll notice, there's the main dome. And under that main dome is Radha and Krishna, his deities, Radha Giridhari. And you'll see these smaller shikars on the sides. There's 4 of those. And when you visit this samadhi, you'll see that there's a little temple for each of these 4 acharyas. And they're making the point that each of these 4 acharyas are the foundation, like 4 pillars, holding up the platform of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, Achintya-Bheda-Abheda Tattva. Next. O Vanamali, Earth to Vanamali. Ah, there we go. And these are the deities installed, first deities of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And here's Mahaprabhu. So it's the apex culmination. Nothing is left out of all the 4 acharyas, sampradayas, and their teaching in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, culminating in pure devotional service for Radha and Krishna. And anyone know what Gandharvika means? It's a name for Srimati Radharani. Gandharvika. It means she's a heavenly singer, the best of singers. Yeah, she's the best of singers. And Giridhari, of course, means Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. Okay, next. We're almost done. This is just for fun to give an example of who Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was dealing with. This was every acharya preaches, like I was showing you the other charts, according to time, place, and circumstance. So this is the challenges. And the next picture. This is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so renowned, so well respected as a spiritual leader and a scholar. I mean, I can give a whole class. Someday we'll do that. And there's a wonderful 3-set book by Bhakti Vikas Swami about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's an absolutely nectarian biography. You should get it. Get a copy of the 3 volumes and you'll just, it's a page turner. The only problem will be once you start reading it, you won't be able to stop. You'll just, you won't be able, you'll just be absorbed. So this is just for fun. He was so influential. This is the governor of Bengal. Governor of Bengal was the most powerful British official in India next to the viceroy. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so influential, he invited the governor of Bengal, why don't you come out to Mayapur? You come for Gaur Pranim. And the governor came. Now there were some Smarta Brahmins, there were some other Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and they criticized Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They said, oh, why are you bringing this Malecha? He's a meat eater. He's, and you're bringing him out to Navadvip. So they criticized Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But it gives you a flavor, I'll tell you why, a flavor of the transcendental intelligence of our great acharyas. After the governor came, the road to Mayapur was just basically an ox cart full of potholes and very difficult dirt road. So people weren't coming out to Mayapur because the road was so bad. When the governor came, he actually improved the whole road so he could come with all of his entourage. They fixed the road. So after the road was fixed, nice Gaur Pranim, the governor leaves. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur revealed to his disciples. He said, actually, I know that the governor is scratch, but I invited him just so we could get a nice road to Mayapur so people would come. So that was the transcendental scheme of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It shows his influence that the governor would even come, and it shows his transcendental cunning. Prabhupada was also very sharp. Our acharyas are very intelligent. So I think we only have 2 or 3 more slides. Next. Prabhupada, before he left for Mayapur, before he left for the United States, the Pujari, now he's passed away, but the Pujari at Prabhupada's, at Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Samadhi in Mayapur, the Pujari at that Samadhi told the devotees, Achyutananda Swami, and then later on Jayapataka Maharaj, he told them this pastime. The Pujari said that one day, 1965, I came to do my puja at the Samadhi of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and I saw an elderly gentleman, elderly sannyasi, sitting, chanting japa so intensely and crying. He was crying and crying. And then I looked very carefully and I recognized, wait a minute, this is Abai Babu. He knew Prabhupada, as Abai Charan Day. And he knew Prabhupada when he'd gotten initiated, Prabhupada would come, of course, to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Mayapur. And he said, Abai Babu, oh, now you're Bhaktivedanta Swami. And why are you crying? Prabhupada, this is the day before Prabhupada left, got on the Jaladuta. So the day before, to get encouragement, to prayers, he went to the samadhi of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Prabhupada said, I'm crying because my guru has given me an impossible mission. Does anyone know what Prabhupada had in his suitcase? Here we see Prabhupada getting on the Jaladuta. Now on his suitcase, of course, he had some dhotis. He had Bhagavad Gita. He had some tilak. Anyone know what else he had in his suitcase? He had some dried,
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, he also had some dried grains because he thought, I may not be able to get anything to eat in America. They're all meat eaters and drinking wine and beer. And I may not. So he figured, Prabhupada, when he got off the boat in Boston, they asked him, the immigration, how long do you want to stay? So Prabhupada told him 2 months. I heard Prabhupada say this on the tape. He said 2 months because he figured he had the sponsorship with Gopal Agarwal for 1 month, and he had a little bit of money because he'd sold the Bhagavatam sets, and he thought, well, I've got some grains, I'll get some potatoes, I can hold out for another month. So Prabhupada was thinking, worst comes to worst, at least I can make it for 2 months. So just imagine how brave, how surrendered Prabhupada was willing. All right, my guru's given me an impossible mission. I'm going to give it a try. Next. If we look at Prabhupada's ISKCON, how Prabhupada has given us, if you look at the 8 themes taught by the previous acharyas, woven together into the beautiful tapestry of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's practices and teachings, Prabhupada has taken those practices, those teachings, and made the boat of ISKCON. Now, if we just get in that boat, we will be able to sail over the ocean of birth and death to the lotus feet of Krishna, to the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. We just have to stay in the boat. Sometimes a boat on the sea will rock because there's a storm. There's always some storm on the ocean. So because the boat is rocking, do we jump off the boat into the ocean, into the storm? Is that a smart move? No, you lash yourself to the boat and you don't get off. Storm will pass, boat will sail into the harbor. And it doesn't matter where you are on the boat. You can be in the stern, in the bow, you can be in the bilge, you can be on the deck, you can be on the crow's nest. Doesn't matter. When the boat sails into the harbor, you sail into the harbor in safety. So we should appreciate how Prabhupada has so expertly crafted the boat of ISKCON. And we just have to get in it, stay on it, and we will sail across the ocean of illusion to Krishna's lotus feet. Next. So this is the glorious opportunity we have in our life. We come in this noble line. We should know that when we read Prabhupada's books, when we present Krishna consciousness to others, when we chant japa or we do our deity worship, we have all the potency of the previous acharyas, all of their teachings pushing us forward. We have that as our support system. We have it as our food for spiritual nurturement. So we are in the most glorious, auspicious position. We have a chance to do real good in the world. I'll end with one last example, and then we'll take some questions. By the way, this is Prabhupada in Detroit. It's a whole story. That's another, we'll tell that. You remind me, some future class, I'll tell the story of how Prabhupada got that Detroit temple. But you can just see how transcendently pleased Krishna reciprocated with Prabhupada. It was mystical. And Prabhupada got that beautiful palace for Krishna. As a genuine sannyasi, He got that beautiful palace, and with 48 hours, he was traveling again. That's a real sannyasi. He didn't stay and enjoy the cushy life. He got it for Krishna, and then he moved on. But let me give you an example. Prabhupada gave me this example personally, because all of us have a choice what to do with our life. We can sit on the sidelines. We can come to the temple once COVID is cleared up. We can take darshan. We can take prashadam. We can think about our personal life. That's good. We have to say, Prabhupada says, if you want to become a lifeguard, saving people from drowning in the ocean, first qualification is you have to be a good swimmer. You can't help others unless you're a good swimmer. So sure, we need to save ourselves. But this is Kanista platform. Let me think about the deity and Krishna and my personal spiritual life. Good. But it's not the best. And to give this example, Prabhupada gave me an example. Suppose I have a bucket of water. Picture a bucket, plastic 5-gallon bucket of water. Picture it half full of water. Okay? We got a bucket half full of water. Now you put your hand in that bucket. What happens to the water line in the bucket? Anyone want to say? What happens? It doesn't take advanced physics. The water line goes up, isn't it? Yeah. You pull your hand out, what happens to the water line? It goes back down. It goes back to the exact same place. Put your hand in, line goes up. Pull your hand out, line goes down. When you pulled your hand out, it's as if your hand was never there, as if your hand had no impact. The water line is in the same place. Similarly, we're taking up space in this world. For some brief period of time, we've got the human form of life. And if we use it like polished dogs and cats, we eat, we sleep, we push some stuff together. And I'm not saying we shouldn't work hard. I'm not saying we don't take care of our family. I'm not saying we don't do our material duties. Don't go, binary on me. It's not either or. But the point is, if all we do is gather together some stuff and we take care of our little, Prabhupada calls us fallible soldiers. We've got a little circle of friends, some relatives. At the most, we've got a dozen people close to us, really, when the chips are down. That's being generous. And once we're dead and gone, which we all will be, time and tide wait for no one. When we're all dead and gone, a year, 6 months later, people can't even remember the sound of our voice. They don't even remember what we look like if they don't look at a picture. And one generation, forget it. We didn't have any difference at all. So should we be like that hand in the bucket, having no impact in the world? Should we waste the most valuable human form of life? Or, having come into contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, the priceless teachings of the previous acharyas, should we have the mood of Srila Prabhupada and take up what appears to be an impossible mission? Prabhupada came to America with nothing. And all over the world now, there's temples, there's devotees, there's books. I remember going out preaching in 1970. We would tell people about yoga. We would hand them a book, Bhagavad Gita, it's Bhakti Yoga. I swear to you, people would say, yogurt? I don't eat yogurt. You would tell them about being a vegetarian. They would say, oh, is that a political party like libertarian? People didn't know anything. The idea of karma, the guru, reincarnation, all of these things, people now know. It's become woven in to the American fabric. Karma, guru, vegetarian, reincarnation. These ideas, they're not considered just completely bizarre. They're gradually, incrementally weaving their way into the American consciousness, Western consciousness, modern consciousness. And that is because of Srila Prabhupada and the distribution of his books and our Ratha Yatras and our temples. So it is now no longer an impossible mission. It is a noble mission. So we should be so happy that we have a chance to be members of ISKCON and help Prabhupada push forward this noble mission. Next. So there it is, Prabhus. That is my presentation. What time is it? Okay. We can blip off, no sharing the screen, and we can see everybody's faces. And we'll take a few minutes and take some questions. Thank you very much for sitting so patiently. And I hope this stays in your mind, that you can feel proud to be devotees and know what it means to be a member of ISKCON. It is not a cheap thing. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elite forces. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Now, I'll tell you how this works. Devotees are by nature shy. So people are afraid to offer, they think, oh, someone else will ask a question. So everybody's quiet. And all it takes is one brave soul to ask a question, and then the floodgates open. So somebody can unmute. I can't see your hands. So somebody can unmute. Yeah.
Before anyone begins, on behalf of
don't offer a bunch of praise. You can say, oh, great, thank you, wonderful. I appreciate all that. But the proof is that you actually practice it. Talk is cheap. Yes, I'm talking, you're saying, oh, great, great, great. And then do you remember tomorrow? So let's move on to questions. Thank you, though. It's etiquette. I appreciate it. But let's take some questions.
Maharaj?
Yes.
We consider Lord Buddha to be avatar of Lord Narayana. Then why did he explain such a philosophy? I would say a half philosophy, not the complete one.
Did you hear what I said at the very beginning? If you want to bend a piece of bamboo or a piece of metal, if you bend it too fast, what happens? What did I say?
It breaks, snaps.
It snaps. People, if you tell a child, I want to know how the car works. They say it's so many horsepower. So you open up the hood of the car and look for the horse. Oh, I don't see any horse. So how do you explain to a child? You put gas in the car, you turn the engine, a key, and the car runs. The child is happy. Someone who's more intelligent say, well, there's a piston and there's gas combustion, and the key makes a spark, and it ignites the gas, and you explain the whole thing. So according to the audience, you have to explain. Now people were completely materialistic, atheistic. So Krishna comes, you have to read Prabhupada's books. It says right there, if you read in the Das Avatars, when it's described that everyone wants to be an atheist, Lord Buddha comes as the best of atheists. Krishna comes as the best of atheists. And he says, yeah, don't worship God, be an atheist, just follow me. And they think, oh, great, we'll follow you. And frankly, you see, if you go to Thailand, Japanese have Zen Buddhism, which is weird, but you go to China, you go to Hong Kong, you go to Thailand, you go to Burma, they're very devoted. They're offering incense, they're offering prayers, they're actually in their own way worshiping Lord Buddha. Don't worship God, just follow me. And what is Buddha teaching? How to worship God. And he also teaches them, forget the Vedas, but then he teaches them the sub-religious principles of the Vedas. So it's like a relay race. You pass the baton. So Buddha gets them a little down the path, and he passes the baton on to Sankaracharya. As I said, Sankaracharya moves them a little further. Then it goes on to Vishnu Swami. Then in this way, it goes all the way down the line until finally society is ready, humankind is ready to accept the full teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why it is Krishna's, and Krishna never gives up. As I said in the beginning, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Depending on where we're at, Krishna never gives up. He comes as Jesus. He comes as Muhammad. Krishna, Bhagavatam says there's as many incarnations as waves of the ocean. People blame Krishna. Well, if there's God, why doesn't he just come down here and straighten things out? He does. He comes repeatedly. He sends so many shastras. He comes repeatedly. He sends so many acharyas. Prabhupada says, if you go into your house, lock the door, shut the windows, pull the curtains, shut off the lights, and curse the sun, whose fault is it? There's no light. Whose fault is it? Open the door, you idiot. You know? So Krishna's there. He's Chaitya Guru. He's in our heart. He comes externally as the Diksha Guru. He comes as Shiksha Guru. But he does not interfere with our independence. Each of us has free will. Without free will, there's no meaning to bhakti. There's no meaning to love. So Krishna never interferes with our free will. So these different acharyas, it's Krishna coming in every possible. We've locked the door. He's coming down the chimney. He's coming through the window. He's coming up the basement. He's trying everything he can to deliver the living entities, to push them a little further down the path. And we should feel so happy that we're not getting, you're right, we're not getting part of this formula. We're not getting watered down milk. We are getting nectarine amrita, the full bracing medicine of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Achintya-Bheda-Abheda Tattva. Nice question. Next question.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Hare
You
Krishna
can go ahead,
Maharaj.
Mataji.
Done with
Yeah,
pranam.
go.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, done with pranam to you. Thank you so much for this integration of the four various sampradayas into giving the explanation about that. My question was, you also talked about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur later on. So when the devotees or the adherents of the other sampradayas, like I've heard, like they sort of many times point fingers, calling ISKCON like not bona fide. They point to like problems within the mutt after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance, and same thing happened after Prabhupada's disappearance. So how do we understand and how do we answer them? Like in spite of having these strong acharyas, like their own disciples after that were not able to hold it together and be pure.
Let me ask you a question. Because you're assuming that there's only problems in ISKCON and there's only problems recently. That's the basic premise. Well, recently, since Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaudiya Matas, and in ISKCON, there's so many problems. I can talk about ISKCON and problems in just a minute. Believe me, I've been around for a while. But why does Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarsayo vidu sakalanena mahata yoga nashta parantapaha. So this is 5,000 years ago, Krishna speaking to Arjuna. And what is he saying in that verse? He's saying the disciplic succession is broken. I'm coming again to establish it. That means that 5,000 years ago, there were problems. Otherwise, why does Krishna have to reestablish it? So the fact of the matter is, it is a perpetual problem. Spiritual, you look at other sampradayas, you look at other branches of the Gaudiya Math, everyone has problems. Let me give you a simple example. So first off, it's a perennial problem, and Krishna has to appear again and again to reestablish a disciplic succession, to reinvigorate it, to get it, set it back in the straight line. So Krishna repeatedly does that. And it doesn't mean that it's completely lost. It means that he comes again as great acharyas. It's hidden there in the hearts of great saints, just like at the end of Kali Yuga. All the Vedas are lost. People are just living short lives. There's no fruits. There's no, just living on whatever. Basically cannibals and seeds. That's the Bhagavatam. In many other Puranas, it's described the end of Kali Yuga. Still, there are some sages, great saints and sages, lying hidden. And when Kali Yuga ends, they come out again, and that's how Satya Yuga starts. So there's always the truth is hidden in the hearts of great saints and sages, but it's not always manifest. So Krishna comes again to reinvigorate it. So there's always problems. And if you look at these other sampradayas, you know, the problems in the problems in ISKCON are practically minimal. ISKCON is rolling on, amazingly enough. I was in Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada said, spiritual movement in the material world is a difficult proposal. Spiritual movement in the material world, difficult proposal. You read about Kali Yuga, first canto Bhagavatam. It's described that there will be lazy, misguided, unlucky, above all, always disturbed. But it also, in addition to that, it says there will always be enmity and difficulty between natural allies, brother and brother, husband and wife, father and son. These are natural allies. But in Kali Yuga, everything is complicated. Everything is difficult. It is the nature of the place. So we should not be surprised that there's difficulties in ISKCON.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, and just one last thing. Rather, it's it's a measure of our character. Chanakya Pandit says that you test gold by rubbing. Have you ever seen a jeweler's stone? You see it in so many places. They have a stone, black stone, and you rub the gold on it. And by the way it feels, you know, somebody who's an expert jeweler, by the color and the way it feels, they can tell whether it's fool's gold or 18 karat, 24 karat, they can tell. So the gold is tested by rubbing, pressure. Chanakya Pandit says a person's character is tested in adversity. So do we have the character, the spiritual character, to be loyal to our acharyas and carry on the Sankirtan mission? I mean, you have Sukracharya and Bali Maharaj. I mean, throughout the Bhagavatam, there are examples throughout time of disciples who fell off the trails, of gurus who fell off the trails. I mean, look at Daksha and the Daksha Yoga. So it's not that there won't be difficulties. That's the nature of the material world. We should not be, rather we should be surprised at how by Krishna's grace, ISKCON is going on. That's the miracle. That's the surprise, not that there's difficulty. Look what's happened.
Thank you so much for that perspective, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Especially, I think Prabhupada's line, which you mentioned, that you know, having the spiritual culture in a material world is the most difficult thing. I think I can hold it in my heart. Yeah.
Thank you. And the measure of art, what kind of people are we? You know, what do they say? Fair weather friend. You know, when there's.
Yeah.
I know for myself, my meditation is this. I have received so much mercy from Srila Prabhupada. What would we be if we didn't know about Krishna, know about devotees, if we didn't have temples, if we didn't have Prabhupada's books, if we didn't have deity seva, if we didn't know japa? Where would we be?
We would be heathens.
We'd be heathens, and we'd be, I don't know what I would be. I would either be a bitter, mean old man, or I would have committed suicide. Who knows? So we have received so much, what to speak of when we actually go back to Godhead, when the flower airplane comes and we leave this world, what tears of joy we will cry and what appreciation we will have. So when we think we've received so much mercy, Madhuvisa Prabhu told me this person. He said to Prabhupada, he was living in San Francisco, he was a hippie, so many things. He said, Prabhupada, when he became a devotee, new devotee, he said, Prabhupada, it says in the Gita that one can't take the devotional service unless they perform, their sinful reactions are completely eradicated, no more pop, no more sinful activities, and they have lifetime's stockpile of punya, of pious activities. So no more reaction for sinful deeds gone, and a stock of pious deeds. They can take the devotional service. So he said, but Prabhupada, until the day I met you, I was performing sinful deeds. I didn't have a stock of pious deeds. Rather, I was sinful till the day I met you. Prabhupada's response, I have created your good fortune. Prabhupada said it's like you're walking down the road and a man comes up and says, here, take, and gives you $10 million. Just take it. You just happen to be there. Causeless mercy. But then Prabhupada said, I only ask one thing. If you're a pauper and someone gives you $10 million, you're indebted to that person. If we're stuck on the cycle of samsara, lifetime after lifetime, and our spiritual master, the previous acharyas, deliver us, we are deeply indebted. And how do we repay that debt? Prabhupada said, all I ask, it's all he asks, is you go and give mercy to others. So as we have received mercy, our only obligation is to give mercy to others. That is the difference between a kanista adhikari and a madhyama adhikari, is that they feel compassion and they want to give mercy to others. Let me give them the teachings. So we should just meditate on how much mercy we receive to become devotees in ISKCON and devotees of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore that should inspire us. Let me give some mercy to others. Nice question.
Thank
Next
you so
question.
much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Next question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. With respect to
we'll go another 10 minutes and then we'll end, because I know it's late for you and also, I've also got to go. And my voice won't last much longer. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your time. Dandavat pranams, Maharaj. So the question is, when we are reading Prabhupada books, which talks about the guru's importance, what happens, some of the people, when they are practicing some other practices or having some gurus who are not from the bona fide sampradayas. So when we talk about the requirement of having guru and the benefits of having that, it's very important. They try to map to their existing so-called guru. So instead of really understanding the real essence of guru, they try to map it to their so-called non-bona fide sprouted gurus. They try to associate with that, and their belief strengthens. So how can we deal with it?
Let me say this first. We are not magicians. Prabhupada, devotees ask Prabhupada, when we try to present Krishna consciousness to people and they don't take it, is it all our fault or their fault? Prabhupada said, it's their fault, not our fault. So, I mean, of course, we try to present as best as we can. We try to, but, and humble persuasion, and if we care about people, we genuinely care about them. So we try to present Krishna consciousness. But sometimes you cannot push water uphill. We can't. Prabhupada gives the example that there's a music teacher. Two students come to the music teacher. It's Prabhupada's example. One student says, the teacher asks, have you ever played the sitar before? And the person says, well, I'm self-taught. I've been playing for about a year. So the teacher says, okay, it's going to cost you $50 a lesson. Then the other student, he says, have you ever learned to play sitar? Have you ever played sitar? The other student says, I've never picked it up in my life. I've never touched a sitar. The teacher says, okay, your lessons are $25 an hour. So the one who's been playing for a year, it's $50. The one who's never picked up a sitar, it's $25. Anyone know why? Who wants to guess?
Because they have to train themselves.
Yeah, you have to break all their bad habits. You got to break all their bad habits. Someone who's a blank slate doesn't know, they're easy. Prabhupada said one of the benefits of preaching in America is you didn't know anything. Everybody in India, oh, I know Bhagavad Gita. I have no, But, if you're in the West, you don't know anything. So, okay, makes sense. I'm on board. So, on one hand, we want to invest our time with innocent people who are sincere. Prabhupada said, there was one guy who kept asking Prabhupada so many questions and just, beating around the bush, as they say in America. Prabhupada finally said, don't try to misunderstand, try to understand. Don't try to misunderstand, try to understand. Prabhupada gave a great example. Let me pick on somebody who I can see. I can see Richard Chadwick, it says, but I don't know. Okay, would you please touch your nose? Everybody here, touch your nose. Okay, well, no, you're all wrong. This is Prabhupada's example. Let me try to do it here. This is how you touch your nose. You see what I'm doing? Why? It's easy. You just touch your nose. But people in Kali Yuga are so arrogant, so puffed up, so easily confused, so proud. Hey, what happened? You can shut it back. Give me back to the real world. Hold on a second. There we go. We complicate everything. So you can quote Bhagavad Gita. You can humbly, because people are attached to their guru, you know. And I mean, their guru makes an apple, or he makes some little ash, or, you know, he makes a little jewel with his, you know. Here's a nice story. Anyway, let me finish this. Krishna says in, you know, Prabhupada would often say this. He said, don't sue me, sue Bhagavad Gita. I heard Prabhupada giving a lecture. Prabhupada says, Avajante mam mudha. You know, Krishna's calling, you know, he says, you're fools and rascals. Mudha is pretty heavy. It's a donkey. You're an ass, a fool. So I heard Prabhupada on the tape. Prabhupada's a public lecture. And Prabhupada quotes, Avajante mam mudha. He's just called the audience fools. And you can hear the audience are kind of tittering, you know. Well, what is this? You're supposed to tell me I'm okay, you're okay, we're all one. And here's this Swami punching me in the nose, calling me. And Prabhupada says, don't sue me. Prabhupada said, you want to bring libel suit against Bhagavad Gita. I'm just repeating what Krishna says. So you can tell your folks, what sampradaya are they in? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, evam param praptam. First he says, tadvidi patipatena, you got to go to a bona fide spiritual master, someone who's tattva darshana, one who's seen the truth. So you got to find a bona fide spiritual master, and the spiritual master has to be becoming in sampradaya. And we go to the Vedas. The simple fact is we rest on the Vedas. And the Vedas, well, who's that hugging Ma? What's her name? She dead yet?
Amachi.
Is she still around?
Amachi.
Yeah, whatever she is. There was another one. I forget. Sai Baba or whatever his name was. There was one of those guys fell off a horse and was kicked in the head. And when he was in a coma, and when he came out of the coma, you knew he was God. That's in his biography. I swear to you, I thought, geez, when he was kicked in the head, something was knocked loose. That's what actually happened. So, I mean, you have to ask them, my dear friend, don't sue me. Don't get angry with me. I'm just, show me in the Vedas where your sampradaya hooks up. And the fact of the matter is, the Vedas describe only 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. So are you connected with one of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas? If they're in the Rudra Sampradaya or the Kumara Sampradaya, if they're following Nimbarkacharya, Ramanujacharya, I don't bother them. I say fine. If they want to also, like in Tirupati, we have a fantastic relationship with the pujaris in the Tirupati temple. We love them, they love us. The Pajar Swami, in charge of the Ramanujacharya Sampradaya, in charge of all of their yatras, we invited him, please come down. You know, it's a whole story, but you know they gave us the land for the Tirupati temple? Do you know that nobody else gets to do it? They were so impressed by Prabhupada and later on by the devotees, they allowed us to have book tables all the way up the hill and up there up on, you know, where the Balaji temple is. Nobody else can do that. Prabhupada, they asked us, they asked the Sri Vaishnavas, to their credit, when Prabhupada was given a tour, the VIP tour of Tirupati, and you can still see they have a VIP guest book, and you can sign that guest book, and you add comments, you know, Indira Gandhi, Bill Clinton, you know, I don't know whoever's been through there, and they have some comment. Prabhupada's comment, very spiritual. That's what Prabhupada wrote. So they asked Prabhupada afterwards, they said, you know, can you give us some advice? You know, this is a sign of honest people. They said, you know, can you give us some advice? And Prabhupada said, to tell you the truth, your puja is excellent. The way you're managing Balaji Tirtha, the way you're taking care of guests, your prasadam distribution, the way you're managing the money, everything you're doing is first class. In fact, I'd like to send my disciples to learn from you. And we did. We studied a lot of things from, you know, their trust and how they do things. And Prabhupada said, you're expert. Prabhupada said, the only thing is, you're not spreading the glories of Balaji. You know, you've got the temple, you're worshiping, people come, you take good care of them. And you've got Leela books, and but you're not, well, how are you going out and spreading the glories of Balaji and the philosophy of God? You know, how are you in the mood of Ramanujacharya? And they, frankly, they said, we're not good at that. Can you help us? And their conclusion was, let's distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, because he's expertly presenting. So my point is, and I can give you so many other examples, that we have a nice relationship with these folks. You know, we have a nice relationship with the Madhvacharyas. We have a nice relationship with vegetarian Christians. You find me a vegetarian Christian, we usually have a very nice relationship with them. You got some meat eater who's saying, thou shalt not kill. You know, when I get to heaven, going to see them pearly gates. When I get to heaven, I'm going to see them chops and steaks. Not that kind of Christian. You give me a real Christian, we get along fine. So I would not try to press them too much. If there's someone who's close and genuinely inquiring, or you see they have the potential to actually grow and change, then you simply point out, what sampradaya are you in? We're not asking you to abandon your spirit. First off, what's he teaching? You watch Prabhupada, so many times, the way Prabhupada handled these things, he didn't attack the person, because they're attached to, and there's so many bogey yogis. He did not attack the person. They would say to him, it's a classic. They would say to Prabhupada, have you heard of Swami Bhogananda? Invariably, Prabhupada would say no. Even if it was some big guy, Prabhupada would say no. Because, have you heard of Ramakrishna? Prabhupada said no. Because just reduce them. Who are they in the grand scheme of things? So first Prabhupada would usually say no. But then Prabhupada would say, what do they teach? So you should ask these people, what do they teach? Because then you can attack, dismantle the teachings. You're not going after their guru. Let them connect the dots. Oh, my guru is teaching this. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, my guru is bogus. Let them make that final connection. You just prove how what he's teaching is bogus. And they're all teaching some kind of it's all the same garbage. It's all some kind of find your home and home, become one, and merge. It's always the same, ultimately. So you ask them, what does he teach? If you follow him, suppose I follow your guru perfectly, what will happen to me? I become a perfect disciple. I follow him perfectly. At the time of death, what happens? They will all tell you, you get mukti, liberation, you merge. Fantastic. Then you talk about Madhvacharya. You say, you know, simple example I heard Prabhupada give. And we'll take one more question and be done. Why does the shadow of the hand have 5 fingers? I put my hand out, there will be a shadow with 5 fingers. Why does the shadow of the hand have 5 fingers? Don't overthink it. It's an easy answer. Anyone want to guess?
5 fingers.
Huh?
Because the hand has 5 fingers.
Because the original object has 5 fingers. There's a tailor in Vrindavan who's got 6 fingers. His shadow will have 6 fingers. It's true. He's right next to that tailor, Satyanarayan. He's got 6 fingers. So, the shadow can only reflect what's in the original object. I have an ocean. If I take a drop of water out of the ocean, these are so many examples from Prabhupada. I will only find in the drop what I will also find in the ocean, correct? If I have a subset of numbers, I have a set of numbers, I take a subset. Can I have any number in the subset that's not in the original set? Is it possible?
No.
So how is it possible? We have emotions, we have relationships, We have forms and the absolute doesn't. The absolute is formless. Prabhupada says they say they're offering prayers. It's like if I go up to you and say, you're deaf, you're dumb, you're blind. Am I praising you? No, Krishna has form. He has pastimes. He has activities. Rather, he's the source of these things. So there's so many angles. You don't go after their teacher because then they'll just come unraveled and get defensive. You ask them, what does he teach? And then you go after the teaching. And you only do this if they're a little bit intelligent and open. You know, we're not there. It's like Christians. We don't waste our time. Okay, one more question. Is that okay?
Thank you,
I have a
Maharaj.
question.
Very nice example.
Okay, one more question and we'll be done.
I have a question, Maharaj. So
All right.
my family members, they belong to the Madhva Sampradaya, and
Okay.
most of the time they challenge me with these arguments.
You're breaking up. I can't hear.
So
I can't.
they say that.
Wait. Hold the horses. You're breaking up, Prabhu. I didn't hear what you said. I heard Madhvacharya and they challenge you. That's all I heard.
Yes. So the arguments they put forth are, they say that if ISKCON claims that it's part of Madhva Sampradaya, why do they not refer to the Vedanta Sutra commentary by Madhvacharya? And they also say, why did Baldev Vidyabhushan have to write his own commentary? So everyone refers to the commentary of Baldev
You're breaking up. I
Vidyabhushan.
got it.
There is a natural commentary.
I got it, Prabhu. I got it. And you're breaking up. And I'm losing my voice. I mean, there's so many ways to go at that. First off, we are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there it is. So that's the first thing. They want to follow Madhvacharya, they follow Madhvacharya. We follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we can then, you go in gently. Then we explain, well, who is the author of Vedanta Sutra? Who's the author of Vedanta Sutra? Vyasadeva. And what does Vyasadeva himself say is the proper commentary, the full fruit, natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. What is the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra written by the author himself? Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary. It's the natural commentary. And it starts with the first line. It's got the same line as Vedanta Sutra. So Bhagavatam is the natural commentary. Therefore, we follow Vyasadeva. We follow the natural commentary. Now, if people want to expand on that, Brahmadujacharya, Madhvacharya, fine. Now, okay, if you were satisfied, they challenge. If you're satisfied with the natural commentary Srimad Bhagavatam, then why did Baladev Vidyabhushana? But there's a historical reference. Because we were being challenged in the worship of Govindadev in Jaipur, we were being challenged. You're not a bona fide sampradaya because you don't have a commentary. Therefore, you cannot do the puja for Sri Govindadev. Therefore, Baladev Vidyabhushana wrote the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. It wasn't actually necessary. I mean, it's glorious. It's wonderful. Therefore, he's called Baladev Vidyabhushana, like jewel of knowledge. So sure, it's great. It's wonderful. But it was done as a historical reaction to the challenge that we cannot worship Govindadev. It's in addition to the natural commentary. And if they're not satisfied with that, don't waste time with them. Why, it's not our business to argue. Rupa Goswami, if we're in a public arena and there's innocent people, then we argue. But just to beat your head against so follow Madhvacharya. You know what you should read? Because it's a longer answer. I mean, that's just a flavor. Have you read Chaitanya Charitamrita? Who was asking the question?
No, Maharaj, not yet.
Well, how long have you been? Are you initiated devotee? Yes.
Yes.
How long have you been initiated?
6 months.
Oh, 6 months. Okay, you're a young devotee. I'll accept it. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visits South India. It's a whole section. It's multiple chapters, okay? In there, he meets the Tattvavadis, the Madhvacharya followers, and Prabhupada gives purport after purport after purport of how to address them, how to deal with them, how to respect them, how to challenge them. It's all there. So what are you going to read in the before the next time I see you? What are you going to read?
The
Arjunananda, what are you going to read?
The section from Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Leela, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets the Tattvavadis in South India.
It's in South Indian tour. You read it there. There's purports, pages and pages and pages. Once again, Prabhupada's books are a treasure house. We just have to know how to mine them. Everything is there. Okay, I think because of the time factor, you have been very patient. I appreciate your, being a nice audience. Great, by the way, great questions. First class questions. And thank you very much until we meet again. So what's the one takeaway? You're fortunate to be devotees and to have met Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada's disciples and to be members of ISKCON. So you've received, as we all have, great good fortune. Now, what is your one obligation?
To spread this, to spread it everywhere.
To give that same mercy as we've received to give to others. Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu. All glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Glories to Prabhupada.